when you think about the Israeli Defense Force. They're not, the Israeli military structure doesn't call themselves an army or a navy or an air force. They're Israeli Defense Force. They defend Israel.
Yes.
They're not expeditionary. They're not like the United States Army that has to train to fight wars overseas. They defend within. And for the most part, they're fighting an enemy now at this point that are women and children and old men. It's not hard to defeat and annihilate an enemy when your enemy, the majority of them are under the age of 15.
It's easy to shoot kids.
It's almost, you have to have a sense of cognitive dissonance to do it. You almost have to separate yourself from the situation, which is why I've said many of these contractors, if they have a conscience, which I think many of them do because they've served in the military and they know what right and wrong looks like, and in the IDF, that when that separation of that cognitive dissonance between your morals and what you're doing comes back to you as a human, it hits hard. And in the coming days and weeks, as Operation Gideon's Chariots has ended, and the Israeli army has to refit into this restructuring for occupation, which is a whole new ballgame. I mean, occupational army, U.S. Army World War II, U.S. Army post-invasion of Iraq, that's when things get really nasty. That's when things get really gray. We think that things are complicated and complex now. Wait until you put an occupation army under the streets of Gaza City.
So if you don't mind fleshing out the difference between what's going on now and a formal occupation.
So right now in the South, so consider if you're a combat force, infantry, armor, tanks, artillery. You're maneuvering against an enemy, or not. In this case, I didn't see many enemy out there. I didn't see any enemy out there. When you're an army of occupation, you then become static. You become routine. You become identifiable. That's when counterinsurgency often resonates the most, is that, so right now, if I were Hamas, while the active war is going on, the offensive, I'm laying low. I'm hiding. I'm going to come out and get killed. When the occupation begins, that's when the insurgency presents itself in armed violence.
Yeah, that's when you have permanent bases.
It's going to get
blown up,
violent, and it's going to get deadly. And more deadly. And if the United States doesn't set a firm tone of what's acceptable and what's not, no longer can we have this IDF do what you will and we'll play backup. No, we cannot. The president of the United States needs to set clear, firm expectations and boundaries with our ally. Because this occupation, two things will happen. One, it's going to become extremely violent, grotesquely violent. Merkava tanks being blown up on the Saladin Road going into Gaza. The Israelis won't like it. But then also, when forces begin to go into Gaza City and other people start to see the amount of starvation and destitute and destruction, it's going to bring the world to its knees. And it's not going to be a year from now. It's not going to be months from now. Days from now.
When the rest of the world sees what Gaza looks like, is that what you're saying?
Yes, because if you consider, so the Spaniards, the Jordanians, and the French have each gone in and dropped airdrop. Airdrop is ineffective because each aircraft you see flying over, pushing out bundles, that's only the equivalent of half of one truck. It's not much at all. Half of one truck only feeds a couple hundred people. One meal. Not to consider what hits the ground and explodes. Most of it doesn't make it to the ground safely. So, those airdrops were for show. For the first time in a long time, others besides the Israeli Defense Force Air Force have seen what Gaza looks like from above. And The Israeli government specifically said no media in the aircraft. But some of the crew on these aircraft, the Spaniards, the French, the Jordanians, saw that and went back to their governments and were like, this is beyond words. And I can attest to that.
Just from the air, it was obvious to them, the devastation?
So when they're conducting equipment drops, in this case, food pallet drops, it's at a lower altitude. It's not like it's from 10,000 feet in the air. It's like from a lower altitude, which you get a pretty good view of the ground from above. And the scale of devastation in Gaza, that not that I just, I'm not talking about someone that saw this from the outside or someone that saw pictures or someone that looked at a picture and assessed it. It was there, touched it, felt it, smelled it. And
what's it smell like?
So very, for those that have experienced it, the smell of death, human death, has a very unforgettable smell.
You mean like rotting bodies?
Rotting bodies, starvation, the body just breaking down. And when that's in mass, it's overwhelming.
We're sorry to say it, but this is not a very safe country. Walk through Oakland or Philadelphia. Yeah, good luck. So most people, when they think about this, want to carry a firearm, and a lot of us do. The problem is there can be massive consequences for that. Ask Kyle Rittenhouse. Kyle Rittenhouse got off in the end, but he was innocent from the first moment. It was obvious on video, and he was facing life in prison anyway. That's what the anti-gun movement will do. They'll throw you in prison for defending yourself with a firearm. And that's why a lot of Americans are turning to Byrna. It's a proudly American company. Byrna makes self-defense launchers that hundreds of law enforcement departments trust. They've sold over 600,000 pistols, mostly to private citizens who refuse to be empty-handed. These pistols, and I have one, fire rock-hard kinetic rounds or tear gas rounds and peppered projectiles, and they stop a threat from up to 60 feet away. There are no background checks. There are no waiting periods. Byrna can ship it directly to your door. You can't be arrested for defending yourself with a Byrna pistol. Visit Byrna, BYRNA.com, or your local Sportsman's Warehouse to get yours today. Byrna.com.
I smelled this same smell once in Baghdad during the 2006 timeframe, during the height of the sectarian violence, when Sunni and Shia were just slaughtering each other. And one of our jobs that we had to do during that time was, on our patrols, we would take a truck and a trailer and we would load bodies. Many veterans have done this. This is recorded history. We would load with the Iraqi army. We would go through neighborhoods and load bodies because they had just been slaughtered. Families slaughtered. That smell.
You did that?
In terms of picking up the bodies?
Yeah.
Yeah. That while in Baghdad in the height of sectarian violence during my very first deployment as a platoon leader, and many a veteran can attest to this because we had to do it. We would have to move through on our combat patrols. We would have to take army trucks and trailers with Iraqi army personnel to load up bodies because there were so many. That smell is something you never forget. In Gaza, standing on the berm of site number 4, looking north to Gaza City. So if you're standing on site number 4 and you're looking south, you see Barish and you see everything to the south towards the Egyptian border. If you're standing on the northern berm, you're looking at Gaza City, the apocalypse. It's the only thing I can describe it as. Well, in the evening, when that coastal wind comes over the Mediterranean and sweeps through and that hits you in the face, it smells like death. And to that scale, mark my words, someone that's seen it, someone that's lived it, someone that's touched it, someone that's felt it. When the world gets a look at what's in Gaza City and Jabalia and southern Erez on the Gaza side of the border, the world will not tolerate it. So what I would say to every American leader, politics aside, put the politics aside. We need to be on the right side of history because our allies are close. Some of our, we say that Israel is one of our closest allies. Some of our closest allies, France, the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia are all standing and we're not. That says something.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. We hope you'll subscribe to it. And by the way, you can hit the little bell on there and get notifications every time we produce a video. We hope you'll do that also.